All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the pre-conference event. Thank you for attending. I'm Desiree Jones, and we're going to talk about networking and how to get ready before the conference, during the conference, and after the conference. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to share my screen right now, and we are going to start now. Let's see. You should be able to see my screen here. Awesome. So for starters, let's get into it. So we go here. All right. Okay, everyone. So I'm Desiree Jones. I'm a speaker. I'm an author. I'm a creative techie, and I work in multimedia. So I do video editing, audio engineering, as well as I have an app that just launched called Hey Follow Up, which uses AI to automate your networking and manage your follow-ups. So we'll talk more about that later. But right now, we're going to get ready for Diversitech. I hope you're excited. And let's go ahead and dive more into networking and all of that encompassing fun things. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about thoughts on networking. So if you have any questions, feedback, or thoughts on what you think networking is, we're going to go over that. We're going to talk about strategic networking, so how to make and nurture meaningful connections, and then situational networking, which is how to navigate any room with confidence. And then, of course, the follow-up formula, turning contacts into meaningful connections. So let's go ahead and get into it now. So I'd love if anyone's here, love to know your thoughts on, when you think about networking, right? What comes to mind when you think about networking? Some people will say connections. Some people will say rapport. Some people will say like social capital, or some people will say, oh, it's not really that fun, or some people say it's necessary. So when you think about networking, I define networking as the ability to communicate and establish your network to help you and others progress in their future endeavors. So essentially, it's a way to connect and exchange value to help each other thrive and progress in your journey to success. So let's go ahead and talk more about strategic networking. So how to make and nurture meaningful connections. So let's talk about the preparation. Okay. So when you're getting ready for Diversitech now, and the first thing you want to think about is setting an intention. So think about these questions when it's time to network. The first thing, so who do you want to meet and why? Who are you planning on connecting with? Are you looking to meet recruiters? Are you looking to meet people in certain industries? And then define your personal brand. So, what do you want to be remembered for? Like why? Yes, someone say, yeah, connections, meeting new people. Absolutely. So define your personal brand. What do you want to be remembered for? When you're going to Diversitech, how do you want to portray yourself? What is your brand? What is something that you want people to remember you by? And then, of course, have a clear goal. How many quality connections do you want to make? So again, when you preparing for your networking, preparing to network, think about, where do you want to meet these folks? Are you going to meet them at a certain location? We're going to dive more into what events are you going to be attending? Which speakers do you want to meet? So you want to make sure that you come in ready, because it's very easy to get caught up in the sauce and the wave of a conference, and like you can lose track of time. You can just lose track talking to people. But if you have like intentions before you go to Diversitech, you will more than likely be ready and more prepared to find what you're looking for while you're there. So now let's get into situational networking. So this is how to navigate any room with confidence. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of rooms you'll be attending while you're at Diversitech, whether that be a workshop or a speaking engagement, or like a lunch or a dinner, or maybe even a night party. You never know. And yes, you can network while you are at a party. So let's get more into it. So where and when to network. How to identify the best networking opportunities. I believe finding the best networking opportunities depends on how comfortable you are with networking. I know some folks are comfortable at conferences where there's a bunch of people. Some people are comfortable at happy hours, to get to know more of like an intimate setting. Community events, so going to things that involve like, just traveling, going on tour. I know there's a tour that you're going to go on in Philly on Saturday. So there's so many different avenues to network. Finding the best fit for you to network. What spaces are you comfortable with, right? Finding your space in a crowded room. So let's say you are in a crowded room, right? Where do you want to go? Like it's easier to network when you are probably close around people compared to like sitting in a corner, right? So when you remember, this is intentional networking. Whether you're looking for a job, you're looking to collaborate, you're looking for opportunities, you want to find your space in the room. If you're an introvert, it can be challenging. I don't want to just say put yourself out there and just go talk to someone because it's not always that easy, but it is definitely possible. Another thing you can think about while you're networking, probably before you go to the Diversitech, think about ask who's all going to be there, right? Like see if you know some friends on LinkedIn or people that you are comfortable with and ask them if they're going to be there. That can be your first point of contact to kind of get you excited and kind of get you loose a little bit before you start meeting new people. And you never know, like they can be introducing you to other folks. So think about before going into that crowded room, being intentional about who you want to connect with, where and when you want to connect with these people, and how comfortable are you in a room like a conference versus a happy hour, because networking might be different in one space compared to another space. So, okay, so now we're going to walk through this process, right? So, let's say you're entering a room, okay? You're entering the room and you want to start small. That's the first thing. Start small. Engage with people you feel comfortable with. We just talked about, right? So, before you even start talking to people, when you walk into that room, you walk into that conference room or that happy hour, be observant before you engage. Like, who is approachable? Think about the best places to start a conversation. If it's really loud in a room, it might be a little bit challenging to start a conversation compared to a place that's kind of quiet, right? Think about like environmental cues, like, having a drink or, having a book or having something with you. I'm sure that there are a lot of entrepreneurs that are coming to Diversitech, right? And they might have some of their swag that they're wearing, right? Or, something that can start a conversation. So any type of thing in a setting can help start an instant conversation. So you want to try to find your way in to kind of say, hey, nice to meet you, right? Finding your space in a crowded room, like we just talked about. Again, there's going to be so many spaces you're going to be involved in. You want to make sure that once you prepare yourself beforehand, you are locked in to see who you want to connect with next. So again, start small, see who's there. Feel free to, if you see someone start talking to them first, and then kind of make your way to kind of make it a habit of starting a conversation with someone you're comfortable with. So once you start talking to people or talking to someone you're comfortable with, you'll be able to continue that conversation when you talk with other folks. So consider starting small, kind of like a warm up, right? You want to get warmed up before you really start networking, because it is a skill, right? It's a skill, it's a process. So, okay, now let's talk about, okay, so you get into the room, but like, what do you want to say? What are we even going to be talking about, right? So, the first thing you want to consider is like, think about like a compliment or something. Like, I'm sure if you've been to Diversitech, there's been a lot of conferences. One thing that I know for sure, a lot of people love to get dressed up for conferences. So the best way to start a conversation is by compliment. Like, nice tie, nice shirt, nice outfit. Like, these are all different scenarios you can do to start a conversation. Another type of observation based opener, right? So think about like when you go to a conference and you see a speaker, and after the event is over, you're like, wow, that speaker was incredible. Like, what did you think? Like, kind of keep it in house when you're going to a certain event. Let's say you've just finished up a workshop and you see someone you want to talk to. It could be the speaker or it could be someone that's sitting next to you. So a conversation opener would be, hey, what did you think of the speaker? Like, wasn't this a great event? Or I don't know, that's how did you feel about the speaker? And then you can be like, that's how you introduce yourself. Like, hey, I'm Desiree. What's your name? Boom, start a conversation. Another thing is a shared experience. So having another opener that's like, okay, well, how did you hear about this event? How did you hear? Like, where are you from? Like, of course, these are just entry points. It doesn't necessarily have to lead to like, the small talk. But one thing is for sure, small talk will always lead to big talk. So if you're able to start small and have conversations, that can eventually lead to like the big conversations, because you never know who you could be talking to. You could be talking to a recruiter. You could be talking to someone who works at a company that you want to talk to, right? But you don't want to just go all in like, hey, I need a job, right? Like that's not how this works. Networking is not just saying like I want this, I want that, but it's literally starting a conversation and just getting to know someone, getting to know who they are, allowing them to talk, or allowing them to discover who you are as well. So again, the art of having a meaningful connection. Like we're not trying to just talk. Like we're all good yappers. I don't know if you know a good yapper, but you also want to think about, the process, right? So you want to ask, you want to listen, and then you want to respond. So when you ask someone a question, you have to be prepared to listen to what they have to say, right? Sometimes it can get long-winded, but again, you have to be an active listener. Listen to what they're saying, pick up on cues, pick up to what it is that they're saying. That's a good way to stay engaged. Recognize engagement levels. So if you know that you're talking to someone and they're like kind of looking away or like not facing you, like look at their body language, because it's easy to have a conversation and then 70%, what they say, 70% of conversation is body language. Like you can see everything that's going on. So if you know someone's uncomfortable or you know they don't want to be in the conversation, you can just be like, hey, it was great meeting you, and wish you well. But again, networking is also about navigating the space of how to talk to people, knowing when to continue or to move on. And I call that the intermission stage of the networking process. There's an intermission, and that's where you decide if you want to keep talking to someone or if you want to, get out of there. Again, and like we just said, this is the exit strategy. So yes, you're having these conversations with people, you're enjoying yourself, but then there comes a moment when there's like a pause, right? There's a pause, and you're just like, I don't know if I want to keep talking to them. So we're going to talk about exit strategies. So let's talk about exit strategies that can help you kind of get out of the conversations. So one exit strategy that I have for you is you can introduce them to someone else, right? Introducing someone that you just met with someone else who might have the same interests or is looking for something that they might have the answer to. That's a good way to be like, hey, it was great meeting you. This is Robin, right? This is Robin, and she does this, and you'd love to talk. And then they start talking, and you can get out of there. You know what I mean? That's an extra strategy. Another extra strategy is, just close with an action step. So it was great chatting with you. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Like you want to make sure you get the contact if they're a great conversation. And then the last thing, just say politely, just politely leave and be like, I need to get out. I need to grab some water. Oh, I'm taking a phone. I got to get this phone call. Great meeting you, because sometimes you can get caught up in a conversation that you might not be comfortable with. So you have to try to find ways to leave the conversation so that way you're able to move on and continue to network with other folks. So these are 3 exit strategies that can help you with your networking. And we'll ask more questions throughout. So let's go to the next area. All right. Last but not least, we have the follow-up formula, okay? So this is turning contacts into meaningful connections. How can you turn what happens after follow-up? Let's be honest here. When you're following up with folks, it's definitely a process. And I know someone's going to be going more over following up as well. So these are ways, this is my 4-step method to following up without the awkwardness, okay? Because it does get awkward. So there are 4 important things that you need to remember when you are trying to follow up. Because again, following up is not just, it was great meeting you. It's following up is also about creating next steps, creating that action step. What is it that you want to do? Do you want to schedule coffee? Do you want to host a virtual meeting? Do you want to do a potential, collaboration? So when it's time to follow up, there's a four-way method, okay? So the first thing is when it's time to meet up with them or reach out to them, make sure that you have a date, a time, a location, and your schedule. I'm saying it again. When it's time to follow up, you need a date, like, hey, let's meet on this day at this time, at this place, and then your schedule. The reason why I say your schedule is because you want to remember that the same way you want them, like you want to connect with them, they also want to connect with you. So you want to be mindful of how comfortable you are with talking to someone, because again, they're the way people, if you meet someone like on the West Coast and you're on the East Coast, you can't be like, hey, yeah, let's meet at 8 a.m. Is it 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or is it 8 a.m. like Pacific time? Like that's two different time frames. So you want to be mindful of what you're comfortable with. Now, if you know you are not getting up at 8, 9 a.m., you can't do that, then shoot for an afternoon meeting or an evening meeting. Now, if you're looking for a job now, you might have to take that 8 a.m. call or that 9 a.m. call. You might have to do it anyway. But you want to make sure that you are just as comfortable following up and being able to be your best self when you do show up, which is why I add your schedule. So you want to talk about in the method of following up, you'll say, hey, it was great meeting you at this place, because you want to remember where you met them. There's a lot of people you're probably going to meet, so you want to know where you met them, what you talked about. So hopefully when you finish networking, you remember what they talked about. And then, talk about how you can add value, like talk about your skills, talk about the things that you want to do. And then of course the next steps. So that's the action step. But remember, when it's time to follow up, you want to make sure you have that date, time, location in your schedule. I guarantee if you don't have a date, or like if one of these things or two of these things are missing out of those four things, a follow-up will never happen at every time. And you also want to be mindful of schedule conflicts, right? So let's say you do schedule time for someone, and next thing you know, it gets to that time and they're like, hey, actually, I got to reschedule, like we got to do it again. That means you're going to have to go back to, okay, date, when do you want to meet up again? What time do you want to meet up again, right? Where do you want to meet up? And again, will your schedule be the same, because you're rescheduling? So just make sure when you're following up, you want to be very intentional about what you're doing to follow up and why you're following up to begin with. And then, of course, nurturing the relationship beyond the event, because Diversitech is a great place to network, but Diversitech is only going to be for this weekend. You want to make sure that you're nurturing those relationships after the event is over. So following up, you want to make sure that you can be prepared without being overwhelmed. Having touch points like, happy birthday. It was great connecting with you at Diversitech. Hope all is well. Sending articles, doing quick check-ins. This can be via LinkedIn or via text, via email. And then, knowing when to maintain or let go of a connection. Because sometimes, people do fall off, and that's normal. But you want to make sure that if you are being intentional at Diversitech and being intentional who you want to connect with, you want to make sure that you want to maintain this connection by any means necessary, honestly, because you just never know where the connection can go. I consider networking like a theme of portals, right? So when you're connecting with one person, that leads to a whole new path, a whole new portal that you can enter into, whether that be a portal that you guys both into to collaborate, or a portal to connect to someone else. It all depends on what your intentions are and what you plan on doing in the future. And there are times where people, I literally received the email yesterday. I met them probably about a year ago, sent them a follow up probably 2 weeks, maybe a week after meeting them at another conference. I just got an email from them yesterday, and they're like, hey, hope all was well. Like, emails get lost, things happen. And now we're back in. Now it's time to reschedule another follow up. So you want to make sure that at least provide some type of touch point, some type of, hey, checking in. So that way you can continue to nurture the relationship beyond the event. And if you're at the Diversitech conference, there's going to be so many other events happening. We're about to get into the summer. It's going to be fun. So you never know. You might want to invite them to another event. That's another way you can nurture the relationship. So this is all my information here. So again, my app, Hey Follow Up, it just launched like last week. It's on the app stores. So if you want to be a beta tester and try Hey Follow Up, you can download it. It's a free app. Follow me and contact me if you have any questions about networking. I also have my book, Hey, Nice to Meet You, the networking manual. We have it on Audible. We have it on print, and we have it on Kindle and iBooks as well, and ebooks. So if you want the book, this will be great prep for you if you are looking to really be intentional about networking, this is a great tool to have. So that way you're able to network and be prepared beforehand. And then, of course, I work in multimedia, and you know you're going to be doing some content. If you need some help with content, you need help with CapCut, I have a CapCut course already built out, ready for you. So you can film and edit all the content on your own without needing my help or anything. So again, I'm Desiree Jones, at the Book of Des. You can follow me or contact me. Hey Follow Up is out, so test it out when you get to Diversitech. It's a great tool. It helps with using AI to automate, so it populates all your information when you get their contact information, and then it uses AI to send follow-ups on your behalf. So if you are terrible at sending follow-ups, this app is for you. Hey, Follow Up. But that's all we have. Does anyone have any questions? Happy to answer questions. And again, you have me on LinkedIn if you need any more information about me. And I look forward to hearing more about Diversitech and all your adventures. Happy networking, and I will see you guys around the way. Take care.